Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Here we are making a basic pound cake, but we're going to be replacing some things with it. Here we're going to go ahead and start off by creaming our butter. We want to do that for maybe 1 minute or so. And soon after that, we're going to be adding our next component. What we have are 3 softened butter with salt free. And here we are adding our sugar. We want to add 3 cups of sugar. We want to make sure that that butter is at room temperature. We want to make sure that butter is at room temperature. It makes for easier mix. Here you see that we are starting our mixer into a low area so that we can go ahead and get the sugar and butter incorporated. And then what we're going to do on this particular mixer, we put it up pretty high, like 1 or 2 notches from the highest mark, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that that butter and sugar is getting air into it. So here what we're doing, of course, is scraping down our bowl. Want to make sure that everything is getting really good incorporated. Want to make sure that our butter and sugar are getting real good air inside that. That's going to help our cake to rise, really going to help our cake to rise. So I usually cream my butter and sugar for about 10 minutes. You don't have to do it that long, but you want to do it no less than about 6 to 7 minutes, or until your mixture becomes looking like ice cream and it becomes real smooth. So here we are here. What we're going to do is go ahead and scrape down our bowl again. And once we get through scraping our bowl, we're going to move to putting in our 5 room temperature eggs. And you want to make sure that we separate our eggs into a separate bowl so we know that there are no egg shells that are going into our batter. Amen. All right. Yeah, I'm a man of God. I always say amen. So there are our room temperature eggs. We want to go ahead and start those on a moderate speed, maybe 3 or 4. Just all we want to do is get this stuff incorporated. I believe that my eggs got a little anxious, so 2 egg yolks went in. But what we want to do is make sure that those eggs go in 1 yolk at a time. And we just want to make sure that they disappear into the batter, and then we want to move on here. So we're putting in our 5 room temperature large eggs. Okay, if you want to use brown eggs, that's fine. If you want to use white eggs, that's fine. It really doesn't make that big a difference. From what I've seen, some people say that the darker the yolk, the better the color of the cake, but that's for eye candy. Here we're putting in our 4 flavors. Here we're putting in a teaspoon of vanilla. We're putting in a half a teaspoon of creme bouquet. We're putting in another half teaspoon of lemon and another half teaspoon of butter. So we put all those in together. I put all my flavors in, my extracts in, and my eggs in, and make sure that those are well incorporated before I add in my milk and my flour. So what we want to do here is we want to start with dry and end with dry. So I put in about 2 ladle spoons of flour first, and then start it on low, so that way we don't get flour all over the place, and gradually increase the speed of our mixer. And once we see that the flour is gone, we want to go ahead and put in half of our milk. We want to go ahead and put in half of our milk. So in this particular case, what we did is we put in cream cheese. We didn't use milk, we used cream cheese. So that way we don't have to add in any milk. So we want to go ahead and put in the flour in segments. So again, just to make sure that it gets incorporated. So we should be putting it in about 3s. So 1/3 of the flour. And here you see we're putting in the last 1/3 of our flour. We stop the mixer to make sure that everything is getting in there and nothing's flying all over the place. You are going to get flour in different places. Flour is just one of those things that can pretty much get anywhere. So it is what it is. You got to deal with it when you're baking. So, but you just wanted to reduce the amount of flour that you get all over the place. Just don't start up on high. Gradually go to a medium speed and then go up to higher and then stop. You do not want to overmix your batter. What I like to do sometimes is really just stir in or fold in my flour by hand, so that way I make sure that no gluten shows up. But I just went ahead and used the mixer for this one here. What we're doing now is we're just stirring in. We're scraping the edges of our bowl to make sure that everything is really well incorporated and stirred in, and that we have nothing hanging out and things of that nature. So now what we're doing, or what we're getting ready to do, is to get our pan is already ready. It's already sprayed. We use Pam or Baker's Joy with flour. It doesn't matter. I have not seen any difference in those two. They both are they both release very well. Now you'll notice here I wipe down my area. I wipe down my equipment very well. I don't like my equipment to be dirty. It's just me. It's just the way I am. Every time I cook, I always make sure that everything is clean. I keep dishwater in the sink, and I sometimes change it out 2 or 3 times before I'm done putting things into the oven or putting things up. I just like things to be neat. I guess you can call me OCD or a cleaning nerd, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter to me. So again, here we're just making sure that everything in that batter is well incorporated. You should be in, and don't be afraid to taste your batter. Get a little spoon, or hey, if it's yours, stick your finger in there and taste it. Hey, that's our Nordic Ware bundt pan, not bundt pan, but pound cake flute pan. We're going to go ahead and bake in that. It's well sprayed to make sure that it's not going to stick. So here our batter is pretty good. It's not real thick, so we just kind of poured it in there. Switch our pan around to make sure that the point of entry is at the lower points, and we want to make sure that we're spreading that batter around real well. Hey, get a rubber scraper for your baking needs. Try not to use a spoon. Spoon's not going to get everything. That rubber scraper will make sure that bowl gets all the goodness and batter into it, because we want every bite that we invested into this batter, right? All right, so we're just making sure that everything is out of that bowl. Our oven is already preheated at 325 degrees, and we're gonna go ahead and bake this for about a little over an hour to hour and 10 minutes. Depending on where you are, you may, in your oven, your equipment may burn hotter than somebody else's oven. So what you may want to do is get a temperature gauge for your oven to make sure that you are accurate in the temperature. Don't always rely on the temperature gauge of your oven, because it may need to be cleaned and things of that nature. So that's something else that you want to be aware of, right? All right. So we are almost done with this, and I cannot wait to show you all this batter. So what I do is I go ahead and shake it up a little bit there, hit the bottom. We want to make sure that the air bubbles are out of it. So now we're at a point now that we are about to take this lovely cake out of the oven, and there it is. Look at that bad boy right there. It smells absolutely delicious. So I cannot wait to get into this. So we let it sit for about 15 minutes, let it cool for about 15 minutes, and then we go ahead and transfer that over to a plate or a grate or grill to allow it to cool a little bit further. In this particular case, you see that look at that lovely crust around it. We've gone ahead and flipped it out, but I wanted this to sit the regular side up. I didn't want the bottom up. I wasn't using any glaze on it. So I just wanted to go ahead and show you all how that thing looks. Look at that bad boy right there. And look at that crust. Oh my goodness. It was is absolutely delicious. Listen, I hope that you all share this with your family. I'll let you know that it was great.